Iran is threatening retaliation following a suspected Israeli airstrike in Syria. The attack, which flattened a building in the capital Damascus, killed 5 members of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. Iran's president accuses Israel of spreading instability in the region and says the attack will not be left unanswered. Israel has not claimed responsibility, but the strike comes just days after Iran struck what it called an Israeli spy headquarters in northern Iraq. The U.S. military says several of its troops were injured in another attack on an airbase in western Iraq. U.S. Central Command says Iran-backed militants launched multiple missiles and rockets at the al-Asad airbase, a U.S.-led coalition facility. It says most of the projectiles were intercepted, but some struck the facility. The U.S. says its troops stationed in Iraq and Syria have faced more than 140 attacks by Iran-allied fighters since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in October. Middle East analyst Kristen Helberg joins me now from Berlin. Christian, would you characterize this as a harmful but limited tit-for-tat or the start of a regional war that many feared could very well happen? Well, actually, we are seeing that this war in Gaza has been spilling over, as it is an old conflict that has been going on for decades between Israel and its so-called axis of resistance on one side, and Iran and its so-called axis of resistance on the other side, and Israel and the U.S. on the other side. So what has happened after October 7th is that as Hamas considers itself to be a member of this axis of resistance, every other militia would jump in, trying to help and step up pressure on Israel. So this is what has been happening in southern Lebanon by Hezbollah. We have seen this with the Houthi militia that are attacking naval ships in the Red Sea. And we have been seeing this looking at the Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria that have been attacking U.S. troops in northern Iraq and northeast Syria and have tried to attack Israeli targets. So everybody's trying to portray themselves as a strong supporter of the Palestinian cause, while at the same time they are trying to avoid a full-blown war. It's more an exchange of fire, portraying oneself as being determined without getting into a direct confrontation between Israel and Iran, or even the US and Iran. And just so our viewers can have some levels of understanding here and nuance, let's focus on Syria for a moment. Why are members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Syria in the first place? Iran is a long-standing ally of the Syrian regime, and we should not forget that it was Iranian militias on the ground that, together with the Russian Air Force, helped to save Bashar al-Assad. I mean, they kept him in power. So Iran used the last few years to build up a military presence in Syria, which is something that Israel considers to be an existential threat because Syria and Israel are sharing